One of the longest running debates in the Call of Duty community is who's the best developer. Infinity Ward was the team that originated the franchise in the first place, but a lot of people think Treyarch has the better idea of how to make the gameplay fun and, I guess you could say, arcadey. I mean, I do think Infinity Ward and Treyarch have their own strengths and weaknesses, but there is a third studio that I think constantly gets crapped on, and I don't think it gets the appreciation they deserve, and that's Sledgehammer. Sledge was brought into the fold during the development of the original Modern Warfare 3, and then they got their chance to prove themselves with Advanced Warfare, which was the first COD game where they were the lead developer. And look, I know I've talked a lot of crap about Sledgehammer over the years because I think they definitely have released some of the most controversial COD games, but I think now in 2025, it's time we were honest with each other, and it's time I was honest with myself. Welcome to the Chaos Call of Duty channel, everybody. This is the channel where it's basically Call of Duty commentaries. Me giving my thoughts and opinions on the current state of COD, and they're unfiltered and very, very transparent. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I read every single comment on every single video. If you have a topic in the Call of Duty community that you want me to focus on, let me know in the comments. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I think they're the best developer working on the franchise right now. I'm not kidding. I'm not just clickbaiting. I'm not. I'm going to explain to you why exactly I'm saying this. So you let me know in the comments who you think the best COD studio is. And I know in the past it's always been Treyarch, and in the early days it was Infinity Ward. They're the OGs. Well, you know what? Times have changed. Before I dig into why I think Sledgehammer gets way more hate than they deserve, I want to dig into why do we always focus on Treyarch and Infinity Ward? Like Sledgehammer's not even around. I mean, Treyarch is responsible for the Black Ops franchise. Both of these sub-series have a ton of unique attributes. Infinity Ward's games tend to be a lot slower paced, more methodical. They lean heavier on the military aesthetic, but that also means they're usually a lot more reliant on people camping or abusing explosives as opposed to running around and using their feet. All I have to do is say doors. Doors. Infinity Ward games, they have quicker TTKs, a lot of safe spaces in the map design, and when I say safe spaces, I'm talking about safe Timmy spaces, and they have really loud footsteps so you can hear people a mile away. I don't mean to sound like I'm just dumping on everything Infinity Ward does, because I know there's a lot of people out there who really love that approach to Call of Duty game design, because it definitely looks and feels authentic. But for someone like me who wants their Call of Duty games to feel more like an actual video game and less like a camping simulator, Infinity Ward's games are just really not fun for me anymore. They used to be back in COD 4, Classic Modern Warfare 2 days. Heck, I even got a lot of fun out of Ghost. I got a lot of mileage out of that, but I don't know if modern Infinity Ward has what it takes to win me back over to their side. I would put them at third place when I'm ranking I'm ranking the 3 COD developers. And I put up a video the other day talking about how I think Modern Warfare 4 is a massive mistake. You guys go check that out. I'm not going to dive into it on this video. And then we have Treyarch on the other side of it. Tries to take a lot more risks with their COD games. They definitely have a more video gamey approach in the way they design their multiplayer. Treyarch CODs are typically a lot faster paced with longer gunfights and less reliance on explosives. They usually incorporate score streaks to their games over kill streaks, and they do that in an effort to get people playing the objective and moving around the map at least a little more, and they're not afraid to let the map design and movement get a little more vertical. Way more vertical than Infinity Ward, to be honest with you, even in some of the boots on the ground games. Treyarch, like Black Ops 4, Black Ops Cold War. There's lots of ways to get a vertical advantage on an enemy or get from one side of the map to the other very quickly. I respect that about them. They're less concerned about realism and more concerned about creating a fun multiplayer experience with the potential for some crazy action movie elements. And I would also say that when you think Treyarch, first thing comes to my mind is the traditional 3-lane map design. I think they're the best at it. I do. But then there's Sledgehammer. I have to say, Sledgehammer has been getting the short end of the COD stick for a long time. And it's a big stick. They were brought in to help Infinity Ward on the original Modern Warfare 3. Then they were given their own game with Advanced Warfare, and even if you didn't like the game, you cannot argue or deny that they tried something just out in left field. And now that I look back with rose-tinted goggles, I think it was a success. I mean, exosuits for the first time, the customization in Advanced Warfare is the best we've ever gotten. It's never even come close since then. I'm not just talking about character customization or supply drops. I'm talking about score streak customization. You could literally customize every score streak in that game with like 4 or 5 different things. It was a wild time, and yes, it was the Wild West, but you know what? It was a lot of fun, and it was a huge risk for them to try something new because look at the other 2 studios. Modern Warfare 1, 2, 3. Let's reboot and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on. Seriously. I mean, they basically get designated with cleanup crew for everybody else, and I don't think that's fair. I mean, COD World War II was very clearly not the game they wanted to make back in 2017, which actually has been more or less confirmed through leaks and inside reports that claim Sledgehammer was working on an entirely different game altogether. And it was early in development, but then Activision demanded a change to World War II following the backlash to futuristic shooters, and I'm specifically talking about Infinite Warfare. But after COD World War II, Sledgehammer was pushed onto COD Vanguard, which once again, a project they very clearly did not actually want to make because they were working on a new project alongside Raven Software, but once again, Activision didn't like the way the work was progressing. So they kicked both Sledge and Raven off the project, and they brought Treyarch in to turn it into freaking Black Ops Cold War. I want to know what Sledgehammer was actually working on. Was it Advanced Warfare 2? If it was, I think it was a huge miss that we never got it. So at that point, Sledgehammer was forced to make COD 2021 with very little time on the clock. So their only option, their option was at that point to take the Modern Warfare 2019 engine along with a bunch of World War II assets they had from COD World War II's development, and they pooped out Vanguard. And as if that wasn't enough, they then brought in development into this massive expansion for Modern Warfare 2 2022. Then Activision actually decided halfway through development that it needed to be a full-fledged game, at which point Sledgehammer had to somehow turn their Modern Warfare 2 expansion pack into Modern Warfare 3. Are you getting the vibe here? Do you see where I'm going? Do you see why I'm a little salty about this? Sledgehammer has continuously gotten the short end of the stick when it comes to their marching orders with COD. They very clearly want to be working on bigger things, and they very clearly want to do their own project and step out of the box and show off their own ideas and be creative. But every single time they start to work on it, Activision comes in and forces them somewhere else. At which point, what do? They have to say, okay, we'll make it work with whatever assets they have in the office at the time. So when you look at Sledgehammer's COD history, they have some controversial games, yes. They had Advanced Warfare, which was well received, but definitely not everybody's cup of tea. COD World War II, widely hated upon release because of the bugs and shallow multiplayer design, and then they completely turned that around. They listened to the community, and when COD World War II kind of ended its life cycle, it was a really good game. And then there was Vanguard. It was ripped apart upon release due to how obviously it copy and pasted from Modern Warfare and COD World War II, but they had no choice. And then Modern Warfare 3. It's a widely loved game now, but not when it was released. It was largely written off because people were burnt out on the Modern Warfare subseries, which is case in point on why we don't need Modern Warfare 4. And the community was pissed that Activision went back on their promises of making Modern Warfare 2 a 2-year game. You remember that? Do you remember when we weren't going to have a Call of Duty? We were going to have a gap and everybody was excited because they figured that meant they were going to give these developing studios more time to polish out and give us better games. It didn't last. So when you look at all of Sledgehammer's games, I know, their roster, their resume doesn't look very impressive. In fact, it kind of looks like they're the worst developer. But here's the thing. I think Sledgehammer is fantastic at working with the community, the best, to the point that I think all of their games post-Advanced Warfare are now some of the best in the series because they were given some time to work with the community, listen to the community, and make adjustments based on what the community wanted. Think back to COD World War II. The game launched totally busted, utterly lacking in content customization. Sledgehammer could have just left it there to die, right? What did they do? They fixed almost every single bug. They completely overhauled the multiplayer class system to make it more old school. They added tons of free guns, tons of maps, and then there was Vanguard. This game was honestly completely out of Sledgehammer's control because they clearly didn't want to make another World War II game, and they clearly were rushed through development on it. But upon release, the main criticisms of Vanguard were that it was boring, repetitive. The balance, it was terrible. So what did Sledge do? They didn't give up on it. They didn't drop it in the dumpster. They added new free content, they totally rebalanced most of the weapon sandbox, and they added a ton of new features that made Vanguard a more distinct entity from its brothers during that Warzone era. That's Sledgehammer. And then Modern Warfare 3. I think that's the best example of what I mean when I say Sledge is best at listening to the community. Modern Warfare 3 at launch was just a big update to the Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. Bunch of remade maps, definitely a hard sell for the community, but when you boot up Modern Warfare 3 now, it is this giant love letter to the Modern Warfare subseries. It's loaded with content. The gun balance is some of the best in the franchise. The time to kill, I would say, is perfect. The class customization is really good, and it is very clear that Sledgehammer has basically just been listening to the community and giving people exactly what they wanted with patches over the year. So, I guess the point of the video is, I think Sledgehammer constantly has to be told that they're not allowed to make their own unique games, but they make some of the best stuff when they fully recognize that in order to get people to like them, they have to listen to the community, and that's not an easy thing to do when it comes to a community as passionate as Call of Duty or as toxic. I mean, with how differently Infinity Ward and Treyarch design their games, it almost feels like there's two distinct versions of Call of Duty out in the wild right now, which means the community is going to be completely split and divided right down the middle. You've got people who like the slower pace of Infinity Ward games. I don't know why, but they do. You've got the people who like the more fast-paced, arcadey style of Treyarch games, which I would probably lean towards. And if you're Sledgehammer in this situation, you're kind of in a lose-lose situation no matter what you do. What are you supposed to do? You listen to the people playing your game. You try to find the best possible scenario for the most players possible. And I think that is what Sledgehammer is the best at. I have no idea how they do it, but they constantly or consistently are able to take games that are pretty much crap, not well received upon release, and they turn them into fan favorites over the course of a few months. COD World War II is widely seen as one of the best COD games of the PS4 era, and Modern Warfare 3 2023 is now seen as the best COD game on the market following the updates. Heck, even Vanguard, which I hated, has a passionate following of fans who loved it for what it is. IW and Treyarch, they may have more original COD games, they may be the OGs, they're also given the space and time to be more original with their games. Sledgehammer, they're not given that time or space to make an original game, not since 2014, and when they were given the time and they made Advanced Warfare, they literally went out and broke the mold and tried something completely new, but yet they still somehow managed to cultivate passionate communities who love playing their games. You tell me. I mean, I think they're really good at taking a box of someone else's toys and creating something awesome out of them by listening to the community and following through on their promises. I mean, this same company that pushed out a balancing patch in Modern Warfare 3 over a year after the game came out. Remember the Reclaimer nerf from a few months ago? They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that at all, but they did. That's why I'm sitting here with my list, and it is Sledge at the top, Treyarch in second, and Infinity Ward in third. And if you would have asked Jimmy, the version of Jimmy 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would have laughed at you. I would be like, it's Treyarch number 1, Infinity Ward number 2, they're the OGs, they're the COD gods, and then Sledgehammer's, they're not even a real studio, they're just support with Raven, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's 2025, and times have changed, my friends. So you let me know. I want you to rank them. I want you to rank them down in the comments. 1, 2, and 3. We'll call Raven support because that's basically what Raven does. But Sledgehammer, they've had opportunities, and they've had more than enough COD titles to be considered one of the big 3. I want to know where you think. I want to know if you agree with me or if you think I'm absolutely off my rocker, to be honest with you, because the more I look at it, the more I want Activision to let them cook on something new. I am the biggest advocate for not going Modern Warfare 4. I'm not excited about Black Ops 7. I know we're getting all these Black Ops 2 maps, and Season 1 looks amazing, and we're getting like 5 or 7 new maps and all kinds of crazy cool stuff, and yeah, and it's all Black Ops 2 stuff. And I know Black Ops 2 is the best Call of Duty of all time. I get it. But there's nothing innovative about this, and we're on number 7. So let Sledgehammer take us out of the monotony here, out of the gutter, and give us something new, fresh. Even if it's risky, I don't care. Give us something that we can all talk about that we haven't talked about 15 times over the last decade and a half. There you go. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you soon.